Hi friends, and welcome back. I cannot even believe how long it has been since I gave you all a book review, so I am here. The holidays are just a very busy season, so I was enjoying all of that time, and I really hope that you all did too. But now, it is a new year, new month, we have some books to review, it's time to do it. The book that I'm going to review for you this month is my December Book of the Month pick, and that book is Kiss Her Once for Me. So as usual, Book of the Month Club had a good selection of books, and I think that I ended up selecting this one because I only was reading holiday books for the entire month of December. I just really wanted to dive into everything seasonal and just enjoy all of the holiday books. So that is how I selected this one. I think that the only time I've had a hard time picking a book with them was actually in November, and I skipped that month because I just couldn't find something that I was interested in. But all of the other months, I have actually found it really hard to pick just one book, and I have to convince myself that I don't need all of the books that they have available. I just need one. So again, this month I had to really decide what I was going to pick, and this one won since it was a holiday book. So let's get into it. Per usual, I did not know anything about the author or about the book, so I have done some research about both of them so that I can share with you. This book was written by Alison Cochrun, and this is actually her second published book. The first book I did not read, but I have heard of it, and it is called The Charm Offensive. So if you have seen that book or heard of it, this is the same author, and I have heard good things. So I was really hoping that this book would be able to live up to the reputation of her first book. And her first book came out in 2021, I believe, and then this book came out in 2022. So she is really knocking out some books. I wonder if we will see something from her in 2023. I'm just kind of throwing a statement out there. I have not seen anything about that, but I'm just wondering if she's going to follow her normal trend of a holiday book once a year. I guess we'll see. Something else that I really wanted to mention about this author is that she seems to have a knack for writing about LGBTQ romances and sets all of her books in Portland, Oregon, where she currently lives. Now, for a little background of this book, we are following our main character, Ellie Oliver, who is a Portland transplant, and she currently works at her dream job as an animator. And last Christmas, she has a meet cute in a bookstore and falls in love with a woman over one single night. After a betrayal the next morning and never seeing her dream woman again, she also loses her dream job and finds herself alone and desperate for money. Ellie is literally restarting her life, and she takes a job as a barista at a local coffee shop, and things are going fine, I guess. She's surviving. But she's not happy. She has no money for her bills. She can barely afford to feed herself. So the situation is not ideal. And then gets a little bit weirder when the owner of the building where this coffee shop is in asks her out for drinks. And she's not really interested, but she says sure because it's a free meal and free alcohol. So she's just gonna go with it. So Ellie goes out for drinks with the owner of the building, who's named Andrew. And things are going totally fine. They're just having a conversation. She's just trying to get some food. And then things really take a turn when he proposes a kind of insane plan to her. Of course, that insane plan is going to be marriage of convenience. Now, something to know about Andrew is that he is rich. I mean, rich. Family rich, it's generational, they have a lot of money. He has a lot of other businesses and things that he's doing, but he also has an inheritance waiting for him that he cannot get until he is married. So He has all of this money waiting, but he can't get it because he doesn't want to actually get married. He is having a really good time. He is enjoying his life and just doesn't want to settle down yet. After a few drinks with Ellie, he feels like he likes her enough to tolerate her, to kind of work out this mutually beneficial situation, because he finds out that she is desperate for money. So what better way to make a plan that helps them both than to just fake a marriage and convince his family that he's married so that he can get money and give her a cut of it, and then they're both happy, right? Of course. Ellie is a reasonable person, and she says absolutely not. The money is not worth it. I am not going to marry you and fake it for your family. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have to find someone else. And then there are a few more rounds of drinks, and there's some negotiation and some convincing, and Ellie decides to agree because she really needs that money. So they have decided to get married and fake the relationship for Andrew's family long enough for him to get his inheritance and for her to get her cut of the inheritance. So the next step in the plan is that Ellie has to join Andrew to his family's cottage for Christmas, and they have to spend 8 days there with his entire family, parents, siblings, grandparents, and convince them that they are so in love that they are just going to get married now. So Andrew and Ellie decide that they are going to do this. They pack up and they go to spend the 8 days leading up to Christmas with Andrew's family. They are going to convince them that they are in love and that this is a real relationship. And everything is going incredibly well. Ellie thinks that she just might be able to do this. His family loves her so far, and she feels like she can make it. It's just 8 days. But then Andrew introduces Ellie to his sister, Jack. And this is where Ellie realizes that his sister is the woman that she fell in love with last Christmas and hasn't seen since last year. So now Ellie is trying to decide what she is supposed to do. She really felt like she had serious and true feelings for Jack last Christmas, but things didn't go well. So she is still trying to process that. And she's also trying to decide if she can now continue with this fake engagement, knowing that the person she is in love with is in the same house. Okay, so if you didn't catch this already, our main tropes here are fake dating, marriage of convenience, forced proximity. Say less, I am in. Now, there are a few things that I really wanted to share with you about this book before we get into my thoughts on likes and dislikes. The first thought that I just have to discuss with you is something that while I was reading made me cringe, and I just really need to discuss it with someone. So, throughout the book, Ellie describes Jack in various ways, and she also describes that she smells like bread. And it makes sense because Jack is a baker, so of course she's going to smell like pastry, she's going to smell like bread. But to me, it wasn't really eloquently written, and I just don't see the appeal to someone who constantly smells like bread. And I think that the author wanted this to be a cute characteristic and quality of the person that she loves, but I just couldn't get behind it. It made me cringe every single time. So I want to know, if you have read this book, did you also not love that aspect, or did you love it? I really want to know what you guys thought of it, because I just couldn't stand that we were always reading about how this woman smelled like bread. So let me know what you think. If you haven't read this book, what are your thoughts? Does that bother you, or do you think that that's a cute quality? I don't know. I just really needed to chat with someone about it. The next thing that I really wanted to mention was how fun this book was separated. So it kind of read like Ellie's diary, and a chapter would be about her experience last Christmas and when she met Jack and fell in love with her. And then we would come back to this year, which actually it was 2022, and we would go through her countdown to Christmas and the things that she was experiencing in present day. I thought that that was such a fun way to split the pieces of this book and really enjoyed it. That also made me want to mention something that I really, really loved about this book, and that was that the book was set in December of 2022. So I picked this book up at the end of December. It was the last book that I was able to squeeze in for the holiday season. So as I was reading this book, I started to notice that the dates that I was reading were matching up with Ellie's 8-day countdown to Christmas. So on Christmas Eve, for example, I was here at home and I was reading with a heated blanket on, and I'm reading about her adventures while skiing and doing all of these super fun wintry things on Christmas Eve. And I just really loved that connection. And I have experienced books where, of course, there is a month and a day that takes place that you may happen to fall on that in the exact time of the book. But I've never experienced a book where the year and the date are on the exact day. So, for example, what I mean by that is, sure, there is a November 9th every single year, but one year it could be on a Tuesday, the next year it could be on a Wednesday, so it might not perfectly align with the time that you are reading it. But what was so great about this book is that it was exact. I was reading the book on a Saturday and reading about her Saturday, and that was such a fun way to get into the Christmas mood. Another thing that I really loved about this book was how hilarious it was, which was really unexpected. I just had no idea that this book would be so funny, and our characters had some incredibly hilarious inner dialogue and situations, and it made the book so enjoyable. Now, I do have an example to share with you, and I hope it sounds as funny outside of the context of the book as it is when you're reading it. So, the situation in the book was that Ellie is talking to her friend, and she is in the middle of a huge breakdown. She thought she fell in love with a woman. That ended up not working, and then she got let go from her dream job, so she is just really down in the dumps, and she's going to a therapist. And she says, I have a therapist, her name is Anna, and based on the fact that she told me I was thriving, she's probably not very good at her job. I don't know if that's going to sound as funny as it was, but it was absolutely hilarious. So if it's not funny, just trust me, it's hilarious in the context of the book. There was one other thing I think that I wanted to mention to you guys, separate from my likes and dislikes. So if you will remember at the beginning of the description of the book, I talked about how Ellie was an animator. And even though she's lost her job, she still enjoys animating and making webcomics. So in her new job as a barista, she deals with some less than pleasant people and has some coworkers that maybe she would trade if she could. So she makes webcomics about her day, and they're snarky, and I just absolutely love that. So Ellie posts them on social media websites, and it's referenced in the book. And of course, as soon as there was an Instagram handle in the book, I had to go look it up and see if there was a page reserved for it. There was. So of course I will post some pictures so that you guys can see. And I'm sure that the author or the publisher reserved this Instagram page knowing that people would look this up. But I really loved the attention to detail. The description on the Instagram page exactly matches what's in the book. And I don't know if anything will ever come from this page, but I kind of hope that it does. I feel like that would be so fun if some animator got to use this page. If not, it's still super fun that there's something that relates to the book. I just thought that it was a really fun touch and wanted to make sure that you know about it. Now, I have really shared some fun things with you about this book, so let's get into my likes and dislikes of this book. For things that I liked, I really liked the plot, the characters, the character development, the writing. It was hilarious and fun, and I also loved how festive this book was. There were snowball fights, there was skiing, there was talks about snow. Everything that you want during the winter and holiday season was present in this book. I also really loved the representation of individuals and groups and varying ideals, and think that the author did an incredible job with inclusion. Now, let's get into my dislikes for the book. There wasn't really anything that I didn't like about this book, besides the fact that the love interest was constantly described as smelling like bread. I'm sorry, you guys, I just couldn't get behind it. I didn't like it. That was the only thing that really bothered me about this book. Overall, I am going to give this book 4 stars. It was a fantastic holiday book. I really enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend that you give this book a try in the next holiday season. And actually, I also wanted to mention that this was a fantastic winter book. So if you are still looking for a book to read in the winter months, this could still be a really good pick for you. Like I said before, there were snowball fights, there was skiing, there were bonfires at a lodge. It was not so focused on the holidays that it wouldn't still be enjoyable. So if you are looking for a good winter pick, give this one a try. And if you're not, give it a try next holiday season. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a like down below and also subscribe to my channel. I have a ton of more books to review for you. Even though I did not get a book review out since before the holiday season was over, I did do a lot of reading, so I have a ton of information to get over to you about some books. So get ready for that. And as always, I really appreciate you watching and appreciate your support. Let me know if you have read this book, or if you haven't. I would just love to know if you're interested in reading it, or if you've read it, what your thoughts are. And of course, I have all of my usual links down below. If you are interested in signing up for Book of the Month Club, I do have a link below where you can sign up at a discounted price. I absolutely love it, and I'm sure that you will too. And of course, I also have TikTok linked down below where I do post some other things and share about some new books and some daily reading updates. And I also have my Goodreads linked down below where you can connect with me and see some of my written reviews and see what I'm currently reading. I'd love to connect with you in some different spots, and let me know if there are any books that you would like for me to review. I have a ton of things to still read and review for you, so we have a bunch of fun things to come. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!